Ladies and gentlemen, there are moments in life when a truth is revealed, a truth so simple yet so profound that it changes the entire direction of your destiny. Today, I want to show you that wealth is not an accident, prosperity is not luck, and success is never random. It is governed by laws, principles, and patterns, divine patterns that heaven itself has written into creation. And when you understand these patterns, when you apply them, money will stop running from you and begin running after you. The question is not, can it happen? The real question is, are you ready to position yourself for it? The hidden code of numbers that unlocks wealth, what a phrase, but what does it mean? My friend, let me tell you something. There are principles in life that cannot be negotiated, patterns that cannot be ignored, and codes that cannot be broken. Numbers are not accidents. Numbers are divine fingerprints written into creation itself. Every number carries meaning. Every number carries a law, and every law carries a promise. If you do not understand the language of numbers, you may live in the world, but you will never fully experience the abundance that was already assigned to you. Think about it. The world itself was built on numbers. Time is measured in numbers. Days are counted in numbers. Seasons are revealed through numbers. Even your very body is coded with numbers. Your DNA is a sequence of divine mathematics. So then, how can wealth be separated from numbers? It cannot. For every breakthrough in life, there is a numerical code waiting to be unlocked. And once you discover it, it is as though heaven opens and money, opportunities, and favor begin to recognize your address. Now let me ask you a question. Why is it that some people seem to attract resources without effort? Why is it that doors open for them, connections find them, and wealth seems to flow to them like a river, while others struggle and fight for every little piece of progress? The answer is not luck. It is not chance. It is not even human effort. The answer is divine alignment with a code. When you align with it, resources chase you. When you ignore it, you chase resources and they run faster than you can catch. You see, there are numbers in Scripture, numbers in creation, and numbers in spiritual law that signify covenant, completion, order, authority, and increase. These are not random symbols. They are spiritual realities wrapped in mathematical expression. And when you write them, when you declare them, when you align your life with them, they begin to speak on your behalf. Numbers have a voice, and when spoken in faith, they call wealth to attention. Imagine money that once ignored you, now hearing a voice it cannot resist, because the numbers you carry are speaking louder than your needs. But here is the truth. Most people ignore this hidden code. They see numbers as ordinary, but in the realm of the spirit, numbers are extraordinary. That is why the wisest men on earth never gamble with them. They honor them, they study them, they apply them. And when they do, they rise. Because success, my friend, is not a secret. It is a system. And systems always respond to those who understand them. So, if there truly is a hidden code in numbers that unlocks wealth, the real question is this: are you ready to discover it? Are you ready to stop chasing money and finally let money chase you? Because once you grasp this first key, the second one will open a door even greater than the first. Why divine patterns govern financial breakthroughs. Pause for a moment and think about that. Patterns. Not chaos, not chance, not coincidence. Patterns. Everything God created, He created with order, with design, with structure, and with law. There is no randomness in creation. The stars move in precise courses. The oceans follow strict boundaries. The earth rotates on an unshakable axis, and the human body functions according to a system of design. If creation is governed by patterns, then why would wealth, why would prosperity, why would financial breakthroughs be any different? Listen carefully. Money does not respond to wishful thinking. Money responds to order. Resources are attracted not to desperation, but to alignment. You may pray for increase, You may cry for favor, but if your life is not aligned with divine patterns, your prayer will not produce the breakthrough you desire, because heaven does not answer emotion, heaven answers principle. Do you hear that? Emotion can move men, but only principle moves God. And this is where so many people miss it. They treat financial breakthroughs like a lottery ticket, hoping today will be their lucky day, hoping someone will notice them, hoping circumstances will suddenly change. But hope is not a strategy. Hope without alignment becomes disappointment. True financial increase begins when you align your life with the pattern of heaven. Because wealth is never attracted to confusion. It is attracted to order. Think about it. The birds of the air don't panic about tomorrow, yet they are fed daily. The lilies of the field don't worry about clothing, yet they are clothed in greater beauty than kings. Why? Because they follow the divine order set for them. They live within the pattern designed for them. And when you find your pattern, when you discover your divine rhythm, you stop chasing provision and provision starts chasing you. That is not theory, that is law. Let me ask you, what is a pattern? A pattern is a repeated design that produces predictable results. If you sow a seed in good soil, you do not wake up in fear wondering if something will grow. You expect it because the pattern of seed time and harvest cannot fail. It is a law, it is a guarantee. In the same way, there are patterns of giving, patterns of discipline, patterns of integrity, patterns of vision that always produce financial fruit. And when you step into those patterns, increase cannot escape you. This is why the wisest people in history were not just men and women of prayer, they were men and women of pattern. They ordered their lives according to heaven's design. And when you do that, breakthrough is not a miracle you wait for. It is a reality you walk in. So if divine patterns govern financial breakthroughs, then the question we must ask is, what are those patterns? What is the design that heaven honors? The structure that causes doors to open and resources to flow? Because once you see the pattern, you will understand the next principle, a principle so powerful. It reveals why 3 specific numbers carry the voice of prosperity itself. The spiritual law behind numbers and prosperity. Now this is where everything begins to shift. Because laws, my friend, are different from opinions. Laws are not subject to feelings. They are not subject to moods. They are not subject to circumstances. Laws are unchanging. Laws are constant. And when it comes to prosperity, when it comes to financial increase, it is not about luck. It is about law. Numbers carry laws within them. Numbers are more than symbols on a page. They are spiritual keys that unlock provision, promotion, and power. Think of gravity. It doesn't matter if you are rich or poor, young or old, believer or unbeliever. If you step off a cliff, gravity pulls you down. Why? Because it is a law. In the same way, there are financial laws written into creation, and these laws are expressed through numbers. They do not discriminate. They do not change. They simply produce what they were designed to produce. If you align with them, they work for you. If you ignore them, they work against you. And this is why so many people struggle. They think money comes by chance. They think prosperity is a matter of hustle alone. They think success belongs to the gifted, or the privileged, or the connected. But let me tell you, wealth answers to law, not to luck. When you learn the law, money will find you. When you understand the law, doors will open for you. When you apply the law, you stop laboring in circles and you begin moving in straight lines toward abundance. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think certain numbers are repeated over and over again in Scripture? Why do you see 3, 7, 12, 40, and others again and again? Because they are not random. They are laws disguised as numbers. 3 speaks of divine completeness, 7 of perfection, 12 of government, 40 of testing and transformation. Each one carries a weight, a meaning, a spiritual reality. And when those numbers are applied in faith, They activate laws in the unseen that manifest in the seen. This is why the wisest people on earth are careful with numbers. They know numbers are never neutral. Numbers either align you with increase or expose you to decrease. Numbers either establish you or weaken you. The law behind them is always working, whether you see it or not. Just as electricity powers a city, even though you cannot see it, so the law of numbers governs prosperity, even if you are unaware of it. So the real issue is not whether these laws are working. The real issue is whether you understand them. Because when you do, you stop fighting money, and money starts fighting for you. When you do, you stop chasing opportunities, and opportunities start chasing you. When you do, you realize prosperity was never a mystery. It was always a law. But here's the question: if there are spiritual laws hidden within numbers that govern prosperity, then which numbers hold the greatest keys? Which ones unlock the highest dimensions of increase? Because the moment you discover them, you will understand why wealth has no choice but to respond. How to align your life with heaven's financial equation. Now that is the question that separates those who merely dream of prosperity from those who walk in it. Because prosperity is not random, it is not scattered, it is not chaotic, it is mathematical. Heaven operates by divine equations, formulas that guarantee results when applied correctly. You see, life is not about guessing. Life is about alignment. And when you align yourself with the equation heaven has already written, you cannot help but experience overflow. Let me explain it this way. An equation is a balance. On one side, you have a problem. On the other, you have a solution. If the parts are equal, the equation works. If the parts are out of balance, the equation fails. Many people are frustrated, not because heaven has denied them wealth, but because their lives are out of balance with the divine equation of prosperity. They are sowing in the wrong soil. They are multiplying without order. They are subtracting when they should be adding, and they are expecting results from an incomplete formula. But heaven does not bless confusion. Heaven only blesses alignment. When the equation is balanced, breakthrough comes automatically. Think of it, 2 plus 2 is 4, no matter where you are on earth. It doesn't change because of your feelings. It doesn't change because of your past. It doesn't change because of your opinion. It is fixed. In the same way, there are divine equations for finances, and once you align with them, the outcome cannot be altered. You may be delayed, but you cannot be denied. And here's the beauty. Alignment is not difficult. It begins with small acts of obedience. It begins with trust. It begins with recognizing that your life is not built by chance, but by choice. Every decision is either adding to your equation or subtracting from it. Every act of giving, every act of discipline, every step of faith is either multiplying your increase or dividing your harvest. The equation is always being written, whether you realize it or not. So, how do you align? You align by seeking the formula that heaven has already established. You align by putting the kingdom first, because the equation of heaven always begins with the kingdom. You align by honoring principles of stewardship, because heaven's formula never rewards waste. You align by embracing discipline, because abundance cannot be trusted to disorder. And you align by understanding the spiritual weight of numbers, because numbers are the very symbols through which heaven's equation speaks. Let me ask you, why do some people give little and yet live in overflow, while others give much and still struggle? It is because one is aligned with the equation and the other is not. You can do the right thing in the wrong order and still fail. But when the balance is right, when your life matches the equation, the result is inevitable. Prosperity flows, and yet there is something deeper. Because once you align with heaven's financial equation, you begin to see that these equations are hidden inside specific numbers that don't just balance your life, but numbers that call abundance to your very doorstep. The 3 numbers that call money into your hands. Now pause and let that settle in your spirit. 3 numbers. Not 10, not 20, not 1,000, just 3. And yet these 3 numbers carry a weight, a frequency, a voice in the spiritual realm that compels resources to locate you. You see, numbers are not silent. Numbers speak. And when you understand which numbers speak to prosperity, you will never again live as one chasing wealth, because wealth will begin chasing you. Think for a moment. If creation itself was built upon numbers, if heaven wrote the entire universe through the language of mathematics, then it should not surprise us that wealth is tied to the same language. Numbers govern your time. Numbers govern your days. Numbers govern your years. Numbers govern the cycles of planting and reaping. So then, why would money, the very substance we use to exchange value, be exempt from the power of numbers? It would not. It cannot. But here is the key. You must understand that not all numbers carry the same power. Some represent order. Some represent completion. Some represent multiplication. And then there are those that specifically speak to provision, increase, and overflow. When those numbers are identified, when they are embraced, when they are written, declared, and lived out, they release a law in the unseen that manifests in your reality. It is as though money hears a sound, a divine call, and begins to move in your direction. Let me ask you, have you ever noticed how certain numbers repeat themselves in moments of breakthrough? The same number showing up on contracts, on dates, on opportunities. That is not an accident. That is alignment. That is heaven whispering to you, pay attention, because this number is carrying your increase. And yet, so many ignore the pattern. They overlook the code. They dismiss what was designed to guide them into abundance. But not you. Because once you discover these 3 numbers, you will see that they are not ordinary. They are covenant numbers. They are creation numbers. They are prosperity numbers. They represent completion, order, and multiplication, the very essence of increase. And when you apply them, when you align your thoughts, your words, and even your actions around them, you activate a law that forces wealth to respond. It is no longer a question of if money will come. It is only a question of when. Now imagine this. What would your life look like if every time you stretched out your hand, resources met you? What would it feel like if doors opened before you even knocked? Because your very presence carried the code of prosperity. This is not fantasy, this is law. And it begins with 3 numbers that heaven has already sealed as a sign of increase. But here's the mystery. If 3 numbers can summon wealth into your hands, then what happens when you begin to understand the meaning behind those numbers? Because the moment you grasp their significance, you will realize that they are not just symbols. They are messages, and those messages are the language of abundance itself, understanding the mystery of numbers in kingdom wealth. Now, this is where revelation begins to dawn. Because most people think wealth is about effort, about connections, about luck. But let me tell you, kingdom wealth operates on a higher plane. It is spiritual before it is natural. It is principled before it is practical. And numbers, yes, numbers, are the key that unlocks this mystery. They are not random symbols, they are divine markers, written into creation, designed to guide, to instruct, and to manifest abundance in your life. Think about it. The entire universe operates on numbers. Seasons, cycles, time itself. Everything obeys numerical law. And if the natural world is governed by these principles, why should your financial life be an exception? Why should provision ignore the same codes that govern creation? The truth is, it does not. There is a rhythm, a frequency, a design, and when you align with it, resources cannot escape you. They are drawn to you like iron to a magnet. Now, let me ask you, why do some people prosper seemingly effortlessly while others toil endlessly and still lack? It is because some understand the hidden meaning in numbers, the secret language of heaven that governs increase. They see patterns. They recognize cycles. They honor sequences. And when they act in harmony with these numbers, the universe responds. Doors open, opportunities multiply, and money flows without strain, without struggle, without delay. Numbers in kingdom wealth are more than calculation. They are covenant. Each one carries authority. Each one carries completion. Each one carries favor. And when you write them, when you declare them, when you embrace their significance, you release a spiritual law that operates beyond human comprehension. Money, influence, and opportunity are not merely attracted to ambition. They are attracted to alignment. And the numbers are the markers of that alignment. But here is the critical part. Most people ignore the patterns because they do not understand them. They see numbers as ordinary, mundane, common. Yet these same numbers are extraordinary. They are signals from heaven. They are instructions written for your prosperity. And when you start to read them, to act on them, to integrate them into your decisions, everything changes. Your hand no longer reaches for wealth. It meets wealth already on its way. Imagine for a moment, what would your life look like if every financial decision you made was in sync with a divine code? What would it feel like if the resources you needed were drawn to you? Because you were operating in rhythm with heaven's design. This is not theory, it is law. This is principle. This is the secret that the wise have always applied and the foolish have always ignored. And yet, even as powerful as this understanding is, there is something deeper still. Because once you understand the mystery of numbers in kingdom wealth, you begin to realize that there is a specific order, a divine sequence, a spiritual alignment that multiplies their power. And that sequence is the next revelation waiting for you. When numbers become the language of abundance, now this is where revelation takes a step beyond understanding into mastery. Because most people think numbers are just for counting, for calculating, for keeping track of days and money. But let me tell you, in the realm of kingdom wealth, numbers are a language that communicates with heaven, a language that speaks to resources, a language that calls provision to your very hand. Numbers are not neutral. They carry a voice, a frequency, a law that cannot be ignored. Consider this. Your entire life is already coded in numbers. Your birth date, your age, the cycles of your work, even the seasons of your success, they all operate on numbers. And if your life itself is a sequence of divine mathematics, why would your finances, your opportunities, your breakthroughs be left to randomness? They are not. They obey the same language. They respond to the same principles. They are activated by the same laws. Let me ask you, why is it that some people seem to receive favor without trying, opportunities find them without effort, and wealth flows to them almost automatically? Is it luck? Is it coincidence? No, it is understanding the language of numbers. It is aligning with the syntax, the grammar, the structure that heaven uses to communicate increase. Those who master this language do not beg for provision. They command it. They do not chase wealth. They attract it. And here is the reality. Numbers can speak for you or against you. Numbers can call increase or they can amplify loss. Numbers can establish authority or they can create chaos. It is all about understanding the language, recognizing the patterns, and applying the code correctly. That is why the wise study, the discerning observe, and the faithful act. They know that every financial breakthrough, every opportunity, every act of multiplication begins with comprehension. And comprehension begins with recognizing numbers as a divine language. Think for a moment, what would happen if every decision you made, every step you took, every goal you set was aligned with this language? What would it feel like if resources heard the code embedded in your life and moved toward you, not because of begging, not because of chasing, but but simply because they recognize the voice calling them. That is the power of numbers as a language of abundance. But there is a deeper truth here, because numbers, when spoken correctly, when written, when declared, become more than symbols. They become instruments of authority. They become magnets of favor. They become keys that unlock doors the world says are locked. And yet, the majority of people go through life blind to this, unaware that they already carry the alphabet of wealth in their very hands. Now, if numbers are truly a language, the question is, what is the vocabulary of this language? Which sequences, which combinations, which arrangements carry the voice of prosperity so strongly that money, opportunities, and favor cannot resist responding? Because the moment you discover this vocabulary, you will realize that the conversation between heaven and wealth is no longer silent, but fully activated. The key to turning numbers into financial favor. Now listen carefully, because this is where understanding shifts into application. You see, numbers by themselves are silent. They exist, yes, but they do nothing until they are activated. Just as a key cannot open a door unless it is turned, numbers cannot release wealth unless they are applied in the right way. They carry potential, but potential without action is wasted. They carry promise, but promise without alignment is powerless. And when you learn to use them correctly, when you align your life with their power, favor begins to manifest like never before. Let me ask you, why do some people seem to walk into opportunities as if the universe itself bends to them? Why do resources flow to certain individuals without struggle, without strain, without chasing? The answer is not luck. The answer is not magic. The answer is numbers in action. Numbers that have been understood, embraced, declared, and applied. The key is knowing which numbers speak favor and then using them as instruments to unlock the doors of increase that were already set before you. Consider this: the law of financial favor is not random. Heaven does not scatter blessings without purpose. Every increase, every opportunity, every breakthrough responds to order, structure, and pattern. And numbers are the ultimate expression of that order. 3, 7, 12. These are not just symbols, they are keys, each carrying authority, each carrying completion, each carrying multiplication. When you align your thoughts, your words, and your actions with these numbers, you activate a law that forces favor to respond. But here is what most people miss. They see numbers and they treat them casually. They write them down, maybe glance at them, but they do not declare them, they do not meditate on them, they do not integrate them into their daily alignment with principle. And because of that, they chase money all their lives, never realizing that wealth was waiting to chase them, if only they had applied the key. Now imagine this. What would it feel like if every decision you made carried the weight of divine favor? What would it look like if opportunities opened before you even asked? Because the numbers you carry were already speaking in your favor. This is not theory, this is principle. This is law, and it is available to anyone who is willing to understand it, respect it, and use it. But here is the deeper truth. Numbers alone are not enough. To truly unlock financial favor, you must combine understanding with faith, alignment with action, principle with persistence. You must not only know the key, you must turn it. You must not only see the door, you must walk through it. Because when numbers are turned into favor, they become unstoppable. And yet, even with favor activated, there is a higher dimension. A dimension where numbers do more than attract wealth. They begin to shape destiny. They begin to govern influence. They begin to call opportunities that were hidden into the light. And that, my friend, is where the next revelation begins. The unshakable law that makes resources chase you. Now this is where revelation meets reality. Because so many people live in a state of chasing, struggling, begging, and hoping that money, opportunities, and favor will somehow appear. But let me tell you, there is a law, a principle, an unchanging truth that governs the movement of resources. It is not influenced by circumstance, it is not delayed by opinion, and it cannot be stopped by disbelief. Once you understand this law, once you operate in its power, you no longer chase anything. Everything begins to chase you. Think about it. Gravity does not negotiate. It does not ask for permission. It simply acts according to its law. Drop an object and it falls. It is automatic. It is consistent. It is unstoppable. And the law of resources works in the same way. Money, opportunities, favor, they are bound by laws in the spiritual realm. Laws that respond to alignment, laws that respond to order, laws that respond to principle. When you obey these laws, they work for you. When you ignore them, they work against you. Now ask yourself, why is it that some people always seem to have just enough? Why do they always find the right doors opening, the right people appearing, the right opportunities arriving? Is it luck? Is it coincidence? No, it is law. It is principle in action. The unshakable law that governs wealth responds to those who understand it, respect it, and live in accordance with it. Resources do not flee from chaos, confusion, or disobedience. They run toward order. They run toward alignment. They run toward principle. And here is the beauty of it. This law does not depend on your connections, your background, or your education. It does not require your influence, your charm, or your charm alone. It requires your obedience to principle, your alignment with divine design, and your understanding that the universe itself is structured to respond to certain patterns. Once you grasp this, you realize that wealth is not something you need to chase. It is something you are magnetically drawn to when you operate in harmony with heaven's law. But let me warn you, understanding the law is not enough. You must apply it. You must act on it. You must integrate it into every aspect of your financial life. Because a law that is known but ignored produces nothing. A law that is applied consistently produces unstoppable results. And when you apply this law, resources are not just attracted, they are compelled. They move, they accelerate. They find your address, they meet your efforts, and they multiply your harvest. Now, imagine this. What would your life look like if every financial effort you made was met by an equal or greater response? What would it feel like if the universe itself aligned with you, simply because you understood and applied the unshakable law? This is not wishful thinking. This is principle. This is law. And when you begin to operate in this way, you step into a level of increase that cannot be explained by chance and cannot be denied by circumstance. Because once you understand this law, you realize that you are not chasing money. Money is chasing you. And that, my friend, is the doorway into the final revelation. The moment you grasp the principle of why money will chase you forever, this is where everything comes together. Imagine a life where financial increase is not a struggle, not a chase, not a prayer that seems unanswered, but a reality that flows naturally because you understand the rules of heaven. You see, money does not respond to desperation. Money does not respond to fear. Money responds to principle, to order, to alignment, and most importantly, to action taken in faith. When you live in accordance with these truths, you stop running after resources, and resources begin running toward you. Let me ask you, how many people are stuck in the endless cycle of working harder but seeing less? How many chase opportunity only to discover doors closed and chances missed? It is because they are living out of alignment. They are ignoring the code, dismissing the principles, and missing the signs that heaven has placed right in front of them. But you have been given understanding. You have been shown the law, the patterns, the numbers, the sequences that unlock increase. And when you apply them, favor is no longer accidental. It is inevitable. You see, abundance follows law. Prosperity responds to order. Favor gravitates toward those who know how to position themselves. These three numbers, when written, declared, and embraced, act like a magnet in the spiritual realm. They call resources, they attract opportunity, they demand attention. And once you understand their power, the struggle is over, the chase is done, the labor is not wasted, because the universe itself begins to cooperate with the one who honors its design. But it is not just about writing numbers. It is about understanding their voice, their meaning, their purpose. It is about declaring them with authority, believing in their significance, and living as if increase is not optional. It is a right, because heaven always rewards alignment. Heaven always responds to principle. And when you position yourself in this way, wealth, favor, and breakthrough cannot resist moving toward you. Now, imagine what this means for your life. No more uncertainty, no more desperation, no more wondering if your effort will yield fruit. Resources will begin to find you. Opportunities will knock before you even seek them. Doors that were once closed will swing wide open, and your life will become a testimony not of luck, but of law, order, and divine design. So today, take these three numbers, write them, declare them, and embrace them as keys to your prosperity. Align your actions with their power. Step into the rhythm of heaven's law. Live in the reality that increase is not just possible, it is inevitable. Because when you do, money will chase you. Favor will pursue you. Opportunities will run to meet you. Doors will open before you. Breakthroughs will locate you. And your life will shine as a testimony that heaven's design never fails, and abundance is always your inheritance.